All right, we are back in the sack. Welcome back to the Slice, and we are in Beijing. Not me, but the ATP Tour is, and the China Open is going on, and we've got all the guys back. People have been talking about how it's one of the densest, most highly talented draws in a long time, and we have got some amazing semifinals. We've got Carlos Alcaraz versus Yannick Sinner. We've got Daniil Medvedev versus Sasha Zverev. A little bit of a throwback on the bottom half, a little bit of a current gen, next gen superstars on the top half. It's as good as it can get as far as semifinals go, in my opinion. And we're going to break down these matchups, take a look at their head to heads, who's got the edge. And we're going to give it a full breakdown because that's what we do here on the Slice. So welcome to the show. All right. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being here. How have you been? Last stop for us was at the Laver Cup in Vancouver, which we were at. I hope you saw a lot of our content. We had a lot of Federer content, especially on our Instagram. If you do not follow me here on Twitter or X at the Slice Steven. And I'll be tweeting more as we watch the semifinals and finals here in Beijing. And as we get started on the Shanghai event, which is kind of, if you've noticed, semifinals are happening tomorrow, which is Tuesday, final happening on Wednesday. That's because the Shanghai event, which is right after, is the new 13-day, or it's the longer event. It's the longer event format. It's like, I forget, 10 or 11, 12 days instead of just a 1 week Masters event. So that's the first time. And we're back in China, basically. We're back in the Asian swing after being on hiatus for a few years. So that's big. Breaking news, though, is if you subscribe to the Slice, you become a better tennis player. You become more like Carlos Alcaraz, who's coached by Juan Carlos Ferreira, and it's weird phenomenon. So you might as well test it by subscribing to the Slice and becoming better at tennis. Thanks for you guys' support. As always, thank you also for the support of AG1. If you're looking to get a routine to help get better nutrients into your body on a daily basis, this is the best way to do it. So check out AG1. There's a link below, and it gives you a special discount on your first on when you sign up. And shout out to them for sponsoring the Slice. So what's been going on? Let's take a look at this draw. I mean, you can see from here how densely packed it is. We're most of the way through the tournament, but we have obviously Carlos Alcaraz back in action. Daniil Medvedev, number 2 seed. Number 3 seed is Holger Rune. Number 4 seed, Stefanos Tsitsipas. We got Rublev, Sinner, Zverev. We've got everyone basically on the ATP Tour except for Novak Djokovic, which is sad. Obviously, kind of makes it a not total top level event. But other than Djokovic not being there, which he deserves the rest. He just won the U.S. Open again, beating all these young guys. He deserves the rest. And we've got everyone else seemingly in the world here in Beijing competing, and everyone is gone except for 4: Sinner, Alcaraz, Zverev, and Medvedev. So very intriguing matchups in the semifinals. Of course, let's start on the top. We've got Carlos Alcaraz, who is, what has not been said? Nothing. Everything's been said about how amazing he is. He's looking absolutely scary. If we look at his route to the final, to the semifinal, he took out Hanfman in 2 sets, 6-4, 6-3, and then he took out Lorenzo Musetti, 6-2, 6-2. Thanks for coming out. And then he takes out Casper Ruud on these quick Asian hard courts, which, Casper Ruud can like. He can hit big on them. Carlos Alcaraz hit Casper Ruud, which isn't, overly surprising, but it was big time hitting in that match. Wins 6-4, 6-2. Always felt like he was ahead in that matchup. So he's looking ominous. He's looking scary. He's looking like he always looks, which is just unbeatable. So that's a matchup where he comes in to play Yannick Sinner, who's had a great 2023, who hits the ball massive. A quick hard court like they're on here in Beijing is going to help him. And he's got a 3-3 head-to-head with Alcaraz. So he knows what it takes to beat Alcaraz on hard. Mind you, he beat him in, I believe he beat him in Indian Wells. Scratch that. Their last match they won, or the time that he beat Carlos Alcaraz won in Indian Wells. Yannick Sinner won in Miami, which is a quicker surface. So that's interesting. We'll get to that. But Jannik Sinner is not maybe as afraid of Alcaraz as other players are on the ATP Tour. And this is one of the best matchups. People say it's the matchup of the future on the ATP Tour. So Sinner got through Dimitrov in 3 sets. Wasn't a sparkling, crystal clear performance from him. But it's a new day. It's a new match. You got Alcaraz. You got Sinner. You got Sinner who can hit it flat, be super aggressive, can hit through Alcaraz. This is the type of court that I think you can hit through any player on, and it really rewards risk, like calculated risk taking. So we'll see how they play the match. Alcaraz, it's an ATP 500 in Beijing. He's won Wimbledon, beating Djokovic in the final. He's got all this experience in the biggest matches, finding a way to play his best tennis. So you got to think advantage Alcaraz. But it is after the US Open. You never know. Some players' motivation wanes in this time. We saw Alcaraz. So 12 months ago, we saw Alcaraz get basically routined by Felix Auger-Aliassime in Basel, which is, a month from now, less than a month from now. Anyways, basically what I'm trying to say is Sinner, Alcaraz, we don't know who's going to come out with their best tennis. And if Alcaraz doesn't come out with his best, Sinner can definitely beat him. We know that. But it's going to be a super entertaining matchup because the way their game styles, both of them can punch so big. Alcaraz can defend so well. Sinner likes to be on the offense and he can counterpunch. So it's really just going to be a treat to watch. There's not much of a strategy breakdown for me. Both guys are going to want to protect their serve. We've seen them both get broken a lot when they're not serving well in these matchups before, I believe. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see Alcaraz play against one of his big rivals now as the favorite with the pressure. We've known when he's playing Djokovic in the final of Wimbledon, he doesn't have as much pressure as Djokovic does. Now he has more pressure than Sinner, probably, you would think, and we'll see how he reacts to that. He hasn't always played his best when that's been the case, but he's got another chance to prove it here in Beijing. We're at the round circular court at the China Open, and that's a blockbuster match. I cannot wait for that one. Who you got? Who are you taking? Alcaraz or Sinner? I'm leaning Alcaraz, but that's not a very dangerous prediction, is it? Next up, we got Zverev versus Daniil Medvedev. And that is a great matchup because Zverev just won in Chengdu. Is Zverev back? Is he back to where he was before he snapped his ankle at the French Open last year? Other than ranking, I'd say he's pretty much slowly marched his way back there. He's hitting so well. He's hitting his backhand, forehand, serve, seemingly like he used to. The only thing that's missing is his, year in, year out confidence building of getting to the deep parts of slams. But also he had a lot of mental scars through that time. So this is a new look Zverev. We'll see how he does the rest of this year in Beijing here, in Shanghai, the other tournaments that he's going to play. He's probably going to make the ATP finals, which is pretty crazy. He's ranked number 8 in the world now in the live rankings. And I think he could have a huge 2024. So he's coming out to play Medvedev, who just obviously made the final of the US Open. Medvedev's on his favorite hard court surface here. This is the part of the season where he's had the most success, and it's just the type of court that he likes. A quicker hard court, not too gritty, not too high bouncing. So he does his thing. We saw him come through. If we put it up here again, he came through Hugo Humbert after beating Alex de Minaur and Tommy Paul. So, everyone here has had a super tough route to the final. Medvedev against Humbert did it in 3 sets, so it wasn't super clean performance from him either. But again, you got to see a lot of the way that he likes to play, the patterns that he wants to be playing in that match, and especially in the 3rd set where he gets through 6-1. Zverev comes through Nicolas Yari, Davidovich Fokina, and Diego Schwartzman. So you can almost say he hasn't had the toughest. Well, he's had a tough route because he's won all 3 matches in 3 tight sets, but maybe not as high of competition as Medvedev. So will we see it again where Medvedev can get the best of Zverev? We will see. But based on if Medvedev can find the level that he found against against Alcaraz at the US Open, it's going to be tough, I believe, but it's going to be really interesting to me to see how Zverev can play against a guy he's played a ton. Their head-to-head is 9-7 for Medvedev. So really, this is one of the premier head-to-heads in on the ATP Tour. And obviously, Zverev beat Medvedev back in Cincinnati recently, right before the U.S. Open. So Medvedev got him the 3 prior times to that. They've actually played a lot in 2023. It was just kind of crazy. Medvedev won in Indian Wells, in Monte Carlo on clay, and in Rome on clay. Clayvedev all of a sudden comes out, but Zverev has really lifted his game back on being back on the hard courts and got him in Cincinnati. So we will see. We'll see how far Medvedev plays from the back. We'll see how aggressive Zverev is. Like I said earlier, this is the court where I think Zverev can hit through Medvedev. There's only, as Medvedev said at the U.S. Open, there's only a few guys in the world who can do it. He said Alcaraz was one of them. I bet you that Zverev is one of them as well if he plays his best. So we will see. We saw, where was it? I think it was Tokyo, the Olympics, where Zverev won gold. So he loves it, the Asian courts. He can get it done. He just won a tournament in Chengdu. What's he going to do here in Beijing against Medvedev in the final? What I would love to see personally is Medvedev-Alcaraz final to run it back from their semifinal at the U.S. Open. Medvedev came out and played an absolutely unbelievable match in the semifinals there. Maybe Alcaraz not at his tip top, but like Medvedev said about himself, he played like a 12 out of 10. So I'd love to see a rematch of that. I'm sure Alcaraz would love a rematch at that. And that is my prediction, that we will get Alcaraz coming through the top, Medvedev coming through the bottom. But for those of you who are saying Zverev's the hotter player right now than Medvedev, you kind of got a point because I guess he won Chengdu, but really Medvedev just beat Alcaraz at the U.S. Open and made the final. So you could say he's also the hotter player. So let's see. May the best men win. And that's why you play the game. Thanks for being here. Check out The Slice on Instagram. We're trying to get over the hump to 7,000 followers. And follow me on Twitter for updates on Canadian tennis and all things pro tennis from The Slice. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time here on